This is KBS One News. Broadcasting local and international news in English from Mali.
Good morning, this is Lassana Konate and you are watching KBS One. Today we're going to present to you an English version of the speech of Dr. Abdoulaye Maïga, the Malian Minister of State, at the 19th Summit of Non-Aligned Movement in Kampala, Uganda. This is a so inspiring speech. Please watch. Voice over and interpreted by Lassana Konate. Thank you for watching.
First of all, allow me to convey to His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and to the brotherly and friendly Ugandan people the cordial and brotherly greetings from His Excellency Colonel Assimi Goïta, President of Transition, Head of State of Mali, on behalf of the people and government of Mali. I would also like to express our satisfaction with the Azerbaijani presidency of the non-aligned movement for its leadership and work over the past 4 years. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, our summit is taking place in a context marked by the complexity of the many challenges facing our countries. The various crises that affect every region of the world are jeopardizing our development and the future effort of coming generations. Dealing adequately with these numerous challenges required synergy of actions and a strengthening of solidarity between our state. In this respect, the theme proposed for this session, Deepening Cooperations for Shared Global Affluence, fully expresses our aspirations. It also invites us to draw, on the one hand, on the founding values of our movement to provide an appropriate response to the legitimate expectations of our people, and on the other hand, on our culture and history. In Mali, sharing and solidarity are part of our global heritage. As you know, following NATO's military intervention in Libya in 2011, my country, Mali, and several other Sahel states fell victim to a cavalier approach to defending national interests outside the appropriate multilateral framework and in violation of international rules, leading to a proliferation of criminal activities by terrorist groups and other organized crime networks. The latter have caused death, destructions, violence, and unprecedented mass population displacement in a region that was once a haven of peace, stability, and peaceful coexistence. To help meet these imposed security challenges, the government of Mali has benefited from the support of the international community, manifested among other things by the deployment in July 2013 of a United Nations multidimensional integrated stabilization mission in Mali, MINUSMA. After 10 years of presence, the people of Mali have realized that foreign military interventions have not helped the country to re-establish its authority over the entire territory, nor to fight terrorist groups. On the contrary, the security situation has worsened further, despite the presence of international forces. Drawing the consequences of this failure, the United Nations Security Council decided by Resolution 2690 of June 30th, 2023, at Mali's request to withdraw MINUSMA without any delay, effective July 1st. The process of withdrawing MINUSMA personnel ended on December 31st, 2023, and we are now in the mission liquidation phase. This is an opportunity for me to express the deep gratitude of government and people of Mali to the member countries of the non-aligned movement for their multiform support, mainly human, financial, and material, from the United States missions in Mali. I would also like to pay tribute to the memory of all the victims, both civilian and military, Malian and foreign, who has fallen on the field of honor in Mali. And I deeply commend the work accomplished by the peacekeepers who came for the most part from sister African countries and other friendly countries of Mali with the intention of helping my country to emerge from a maintained and created crisis. Unfortunately, this laudable ambition of peacekeeping mission was hampered by actors with a very different agenda. It is no longer a secret that French junta, blinded by the colonial reflexes, remain the main promoter of terrorism in the Sahel region. In this respect, Mali reiterates its request of August 15, 2022 for a special session of the United Nations Security Council to present irrefutable proof of this country's involvement in the promotion of terrorism. To date, the Malian army has recovered and occupied, in accordance with national and international standards, in force the camps and other footprints previously occupied by MINUSMA, despite attacks by terrorist group and certain armed group who signed the peace agreement but who has now turned into terrorist actors. With the withdrawal of MINUSMA, the Malian armed forces have stepped up their effort to reinforce the presence and authority of the state throughout the national territory, as illustrated by the return of the Malian army to Kidal, a symbolic town and region, on November 14, 2023, despite the catastrophic scenario predicted or even desired by certain states. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, being aware that security alone is not enough, the government has begun implementing a comprehensive strategy. Indeed, the Malian people in all their diversity, fed up with repeated multiform crises, decided at the national conferences on the refundation held in December 2021 to mandate their new leaders to undertake far-reaching reforms for the advent of a new Mali, resolutely sovereign and rooted in good governance. Since then, political and institutional reforms in electoral matters, territorial administrations, the mining sector, justice, the fight against corruption, and social dialogue, among others, have culminated into the adoption of a new constitution on July 22, 2023, leading to the Fourth Republic of Mali. This comprehensive strategy also provides for internal political solutions to certain dimensions of a crisis based on dialogue and national ownership, including consideration of the well-being of our populations, especially women and young people, in order to protect this vulnerable fringe of our society from the influence of terrorist groups and drug traffickers. In this regard, in his New Year's address to the nation, the President of Transition announced that he had decided to give priority to national ownership of the peace process by giving every opportunity to direct inter-Malian dialogue in order to eliminate the roots of community and inter-community conflicts. The Malian approach follows from similar approaches that yielded convincing results in Africa. Examples include South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission to heal the wounds of apartheid without outside influences, or Algerian's Civil Concord and Charter for Peace and National Reconciliation without outside influence to resolve a decade of terrorism. In other words, dirty laundry should be washed at home, and it is better that way. All these efforts, it should be remembered, contribute to the achievement of our ultimate goal, which is the return of a peaceful and secure constitutional order, based on the principle that no one can love Mali more than the Malians themselves. The government is fully committed to implementing endogenous solutions stemming from the will, expectations, and needs of our people. Consequently, we automatically reject imposed or imported remedies that are counterproductive. In this respect, I strongly reiterate that Mali opposes all forms of foreign interference in the internal affairs of Mali. In the same way, Mali denounces all the other unilateral coercive measures from which several countries, members of our common organizations, are suffering, such as the illegal, inhuman, and illegitimate sanctions that UEMOA and ECOWAS have taken against Mali, then Burkina Faso, and now Niger, when they have been powerless to help these three countries significantly in the fight against the terrorist threats. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, the crisis in the Sahel has a regional dimension which calls for the greater cooperation between the states concerned to meet our shared security and development challenges. This is why, on September 16, 2023, Burkina Faso, the Republic of Mali, and the Republic of Niger adopted the Litako Gourmand Charter establishing the Alliance of Sahel States. These organizations aim to establish an architecture of collective defense and mutual assistance with a view to combating terrorist groups more effectively, promoting the development of the Free State for the benefit of our populations, and fostering the coordination of our political and diplomatic actions. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, the Malian delegation completed a non-stop flight for around 6 hours to honor the invitation extended to us by your august person. This also testifies that Colonel Assimi Goïta deep respect for you. It is my duty to draw your attention to a serious breach of diplomatic practice we were subjected to. Indeed, in reaction to the draft outcome document, our Minister of Foreign Affairs made amendments which were rejected by I don't know who and by whom, and for what reason. Despite his strong protest at the Conference of Foreign Ministers, the situation does not seem to have changed. It is always worth recalling that the non-aligned summit has its own DNA, which explains its success and longevity despite political tensions. Rejecting a member state's amendment on a subject that first and foremost concerns the state itself is a serious matter, warning us of a danger facing our common organization in the face of one country's desire to impose its agenda and interfere in the internal affairs of other states. The head of state of Mali, whom I have the honor of representing here, would not understand it, nor would the Malian people, whose vital interests we are defending. This incident is all the more unseemly given that we find ourselves on the African soil of Uganda, one of the strongest symbols of African emancipation and the defense of national sovereignty, with the emblematic figure that President Museveni embodies in Africa and the world. Consequently, failure to take Malian's amendment into account as proposed by our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mali dissociates itself totally from the proposed drafting and demands the outright withdrawal of the chapter devoted to it in the draft outcome document on the result of the Kampala summit. In the future, it is important to review the way our movement operates for a number of reasons. When a chapter concerns a member state, it is important to obtain the consent of the state in writing, as well as the country behind the draft chapter. Rules and procedures cannot be more important than the sovereignty of a member state. Without changing these rules, there is a high probability of shaving a member state head in its absence and without its consent, which sounds like witchcraft. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to affirm that the government of Mali remains ready to cooperate with any country and international organizations that wish to do so, in accordance with the three principles guiding public action in Mali and laid down by His Excellency Colonel Assimi Goïta, President of the Transition, Head of State, namely respect for our sovereignty, respect for our choice of partners and our strategic choices, and taking into account the vital interests of the Malian people in all decisions. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate Malians' commitment to the values and objectives of a non-aligned movement in line with the principles that guide public actions in Mali. Thank you for your kind attention.